Hi there, everybody. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 12 of the Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast. And I should say award-winning Hard Truth Inside the Football Industry podcast. With me, Philip Ideson and Darragh MacAnthony, Chairman and Co-owner of Peterborough United. And first of all, I think we want to say thank you for everybody that voted for us to win the best EFL podcast at the Football Content Awards a couple of weeks ago.
Massive thank you to the fans, to everybody who voted umpteen times for us, and big thank you to Henry, to Rob, everyone behind the scenes, and to yourself, because those awards are magnificent, but they're more important for you guys as well, you know what I mean? Because you play a massive part, and I couldn't do it without everybody. So it was really nice to see, because I think we've done bronze and silver, and then to get gold and be the best EFL, football podcast. That was quite, it was a proud moment. It was nice, just nice to get bits of recognition. Henry, obviously, the win double for his other podcast as well, so nice for him. But yeah, I love that, and big thank you to the fans, because we don't have, millions of listeners. We don't have massive figures. We have a real cult, excellent following, of hardcore football fans, and to actually go through, you retweet things to go vote for me, please, but you don't expect people to put the effort in, and people put the effort in, so the effort's always appreciated. And you're nothing without really your fan base sending you questions, asking you things, and and again, without Henry and Rob and the work they do in the background, you're nothing without them either. So yeah, massive thank you to everybody. Nice to be the best. We have to keep that now. We have to try and pile up the trophies, but I think we have to add that to all our promo stuff now. Best EFL football podcast, you know what I mean? So
a few more listeners.
Yeah, correct. And and obviously we're looking at ways of improving, and ways of obviously maybe getting more listeners, ways of monetizing a bit better. So the guys behind the scenes can get paid a bit better. So all those things. So change is coming. But anyway, more importantly, I think it was a Posh Bradford win double this weekend. So
it makes a nice change, at least from our side. You've been holding up to your end of the bargain.
Yeah. Well, it's nice, you know what I mean. So let's start with Bradford, because obviously you've been a little bit more controversial and stuff going on the last kind of like week and a half. So you had a big win against Aki on Saturday. No, that's never an easy win. No,
and usually Accrington do pretty well against us. It's been an interesting week and a half, couple of weeks since we last recorded the podcast. There's been a lot of vitriol, really. I mean, we talk about the abuse, but that certainly kept on coming towards Stefan and towards Ryan. I mean, it's a results business, of course, but they've come in for a lot of, I think, unwarranted stick.
Okay, that'll probably make you very unpopular with the hardcore.
It does. I get accused of being Ryan's mate when I stick up for him, but at the end of the day, I think that when you understand behind the scenes what's going on, you have more empathy. And when you run a business, you have more empathy, because you kind of understand a little bit more about what is and what isn't possible. And you can't just make things and pull things out of a hat.
No.
And as a CEO, your influence only goes so far.
I've always said that.
It's hard for him as a CEO who has to play the role of chairman and owner as well. That's what he's stuck in, is in this position where everybody looks to him to be sharing transparently, what's the 5-year plan and what are we doing, what investments coming. And at the end of the day, he's an employee. He's an employee who can't talk against the owner because he's got a mortgage to pay. Yeah. And so he gets kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place a little bit, I think.
I did say that in the last one. At the end of the day, it's employees shouldn't really take any, they shouldn't be in the firing line unless they're the manager of the team. Yeah. So
they sign up for that.
Yeah, you're dictating results and whatever else. But look, I'm not here to defend Ryan or the owner. At the end of the day, they run a football club like I do. And unfortunately, fans will judge. Good enough. Yeah, fans are going to judge you on what have you done the last few years? Where's the club? What's the path? What's the philosophy? Who's the manager? Why'd you bring them in? Did it work? Did it not work? That's going to constantly go on. Again, the only way to quieten that noise is you hire a manager, you win a couple of promotions, and then it's forgotten quickly. So winning does, tend to take care of a lot of things. I mean, even now there's still a few DMAC outers. I mean, there's always going to be, because not everyone. You're not going to poll at 100% unless you're Joe Biden. And you find.
Let's hope that holds still until November.
You find 100% pollers. You know what I mean? Miraculously. But anyway, you're just not going to poll up there. So you're always going to have detractors, doubters, people who disagree with you, and that's okay, by the way. Because it should be that way. It should always be, when you're running something, you're doing something, not everyone should agree with you. Conversation's okay. A different perspective from people is okay. I see comments all the time from people. I see, you should be doing this or you should be doing that, whatever else. That's okay. That's what being a football fan's all about. Going back to the days when I was 13, 14, I was writing letters to Kenny Dalglish about sign that player and whatever. And I see it from fans now. And it's like, it's quite normal, but when it gets to the level where you're shit at your job, you're a wanker, we're going to like flush you out. We know where you live. You shouldn't, sometimes that's the modern day thing of where it just goes OTT. So let's talk positives. So in the last 7-8 days, what have Bradford done that's been positive?
I think that, first of all, you hit the nail on the head in terms of it's a results business. And the most important thing that we did is win a game of football.
Okay.
Because I think that you put 2 or 3 wins together, then, the outlook looks a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's not that all of a sudden it papers over some cracks, but people focus on the results first. And if they're happy with the results, then, maybe things behind the scenes don't seem as dire as what they do when you're losing.
I don't think things behind the scenes at Bradford are dire. You're not in any serious debt. You pay your bills. So I understand the irritation with the quiet owner and somebody who doesn't really want to speak and doesn't want to talk. And obviously he's not coming on the podcast because we haven't heard anything. But I understand all of that. But, that's not an owner like some owners we've seen who are full of it, who are out there and then they've put their club in trouble. So you haven't got that. What you've got is it's a massive football club and a massive fan base who are like, shouldn't be at the bottom of League Two. So that is where you agree with the fans. But I don't agree with the fans about, the club itself. The club is seems to be in good financial shape. But obviously, it's one of them kind of, I've said it for a while and we don't want to bore people or whatever else. The owner has to come out and go, I want to keep the club, so I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Or I don't want to keep the club and I'm going to sell it to somebody, but it's got to be the right person and maybe they'll take it to the next stage. So that in the meantime, get some results.
I think the reality is if there's budget shortfalls, he'll put money in to close the gap, which is all you can really ask for an owner. That it's always for sale, but it's always for sale at a price tag which might not be attractive. And so until that continues, something has to give. Either he has to decide that he wants out and so he'll lower his price, or he hopes that ultimately by not really putting much money in, eventually, we go on a one season where we do get promoted, it increases the value of the club to what he values it and is able to sell at something that's more palatable to someone coming
or in. If he's,
that's where we are, right?
If he's not in a position personally where he can do that, then he just needs to tell the truth. Look, things aren't good business-wise. It's going to take me a while. I haven't got the excess to have a right go promotion, but we'll do our best. So either way, you just tell the truth.
Yeah, and honestly, I think he's got the money. He's just, this isn't his passion. He's an accidental owner who is being as good a custodian as he feels that he needs to be by paying the bills and just biding his time because he's in no rush.
Okay, well, that's different, So, I get the frustration. But did you look good on Saturday? Is there a Graham Alexander spin coming into the team now? Can you see what he's trying to do?
Well, it's interesting. We went back to more of a 3-5-2, but it was probably with a lot more attacking intent than when Mark Hughes played it. So perhaps it was the way the squad was constructed to play it as opposed to what Mark Hughes ended up doing, which was, very much more defensive and trying to play out from the back without Romney or a Romney replacement to have the ability to do that. We've won since we lost to Notts County, which was on Sky. And I'm not sure if you saw any of that, but we were 4-0 down at half time.
I did.
And that was the real low point.
Yeah.
And they came back and they did pretty well in the second half, gave it a right go.
It was a spark.
Yeah. They carried on that into the EFL Cup. We played Barnsley.
Yeah.
And beat them 5-1.
Yeah.
And I know we want to have a real go at the EFL trophy as well.
Yeah.
As being a way to Wembley this year and a way of, kind of bringing the fans together. And so that was very positive, and we carried that into Accrington. It was, a bit of a snooze fest, but we got the win, and that's all that really matters at the moment. I see that the signs are building. It's not going to happen overnight, but the last two and a half games, we've scored 8 and conceded 1. So there's got to be some progress there.
Well, you've hit rock bottom at half time, obviously, against Notts County, and then you've risen from that. And obviously people are buying into what the manager wants to do. So there are massive signs there. And you need to see that with a new manager eventually. It might take a few games, but you're seeing it. So, those 2 last results, you use them. So if you can win 4, 5, 6 in a row, suddenly everything changes. So,
And we got Forest Green away tomorrow.
Okay.
And then we got Liverpool in the 21s at home in the EFL trophy. So both winnable, but I've said that before and come away with egg on my face. But
nothing's a foregone conclusion. You saw our FA Cup game against Salford, so there's nothing's a foregone conclusion. You know what I mean? It's just like the season of madness, you know. But so well, let's hope you get a run going.
Yeah. So I think that will relieve a little bit of pressure. And there was talks of tennis ball protests, which I know, right? So that didn't materialize, fortunately. And I think a sign. Again, I might get stick for this, but a sign that the few on Twitter don't represent the majority. Even though the majority are not that happy, I look at my family as a gauge. They're never going to go on Twitter complaining. And I asked them if they left their tennis balls in the car at the weekend because I didn't see them throwing tennis balls. But they would rather that there was a bit more communication from the club.
Of course.
And they're unhappy that we're at the time 18th, 19th in League Two, but they're not ready to storm the gates. So I think that's probably the majority fan view at the moment.
It is, and it's there'll always be a certain minority that want to take it that little bit further. And I'm not sure tennis balls do anything. I'm not sure anyone protesting a faceless owner who's not there is going to do anything. I don't think.
No, he doesn't care.
Somebody looking from afar seeing that, they're going to turn the TV off when the match is off. They're not going to wait for there's a demonstration down the street about the ownership of Bradford, and the owner's going, well, I pay my bills. I pay the wages. Why is there a demonstration about my ownership? So I don't think he'll care.
Yeah. So you had a good week as well.
We've had a mad international break. Obviously, we after the Cambridge game, we didn't record around the Salford game, did we? The FA Cup game.
No, we had the Cambridge. We didn't have the Salford. So that was wasn't it? You won on penalties after a last-minute equaliser.
We were out of that cup so many times during that time. It was incredible. We obviously, there'd been a few changes in the team. We went there, they scored early. We battered them for basically the first half. Should have been like 5-1 up. We were 3-1 up at half time. Then obviously the second half, whatever, they changed shape. We didn't quite adapt to it. It was one of them nights you could just tell, and Salford are quite a physical side. And then it was 3-3 before you know it. And then you go into extra time. And in extra time, it's kind of like we're on the front foot. You can tell, our fitness should go through, but they score again. So they're 4-3 up then in injury time. And then basically, I think they'd already posted on Twitter they were through to the next round.
Yeah.
Basically, 2 minutes past injury time or 1 minute into injury time, from a free kick, our goalie's gone up for Jono scores the equaliser, which is horrible. And we've been on the end of that a few times, obviously, this season, as we've talked about. So we then go into penalties. We then miss penalties. They have a penalty kick to go through. And I'm just like, at this point, we're in, we're out. And now I'm like, I'm getting up off the couch again, we're out. And fucking the guy hits the post. So it's just one of them bizarre nights. But anyway, we were into the next round. Fair play to the lads. Tough place to go travel to. You talk about League Two and League One. We've seen over the years the banana skins, the issues. We lost in the League Cup to Mansfield. So it's never quite as cut and dry as you think. But to get into the next round, fair play. Then we played the EFL Trophy. We'd already won the group. We played a very young side. We gave a few debuts out. We weren't great. Colchester 1-0. I was pleased to see our two young fullbacks look superb for the future, Mills and Donnelly, proper players. So I was excited about that. Very little else to be excited about, but I don't want to be overcritical. And then we played Burton on Saturday. And again, you're always, what do I say, like banana skins or whatever else that, people expect you after winning 5-0 last time to come out and be at it. And, the last couple of international breaks we've come out of, we've been lackluster. I think we've drawn one and lost.
You've always tended to struggle coming out of breaks.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there was a real effort that Gaffer didn't give them that much time off. And we spoke during the week and I was like, listen, nailed them on Thursday, 2 days before the game, because they were training brilliantly, apparently. So it was like, sometimes that's too smooth. So give it to them, do you know what I mean, before the game. And to be fair, we were superfluous. It was a joy to watch. The football was just and Burton obviously had a few injuries, but you have to be professional and you have to show up and do the job. And Burton aren't mugs. We'd have been out last year. We slipped up drawing at home against Burton. So 4-0 could have been 10. The front four were unplayable. Again, the midfield. We were very, very good. And it was good to see, because it was just like, okay, all right, we've done Cambridge United. Now can we come out and do it again? And again, I think we're pretty much the top scorers in League One. And that's happened since we've dropped a double Golden Boot winner out of the team. because it's just, you know, that change alone has just changed the way that front four
just
works.
shaping the whole
Pace just frightening the life out of people. So not getting carried away, you know. I know, but I want fans to if they want to. I would never say don't.
Fans certainly were on Twitter. It looked like, you know, champagne football.
Enjoy it, because you know you have to enjoy it. You know, when you're doing it well and you're playing football well, and you can be proud of what you got and whatever else. You know, just enjoy it. So there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you're a fan, you dare to dream. That's always the thing, isn't it? So that's football. So there's no reason you can't do that. And you know, equally, you can look at every league in the country like that. You know, teams who are like doing well and they're really proud of the way they want to do it. And they're doing it playing football the right way and all those little things. So absolutely enjoy it. I would never get carried away anyway. As much as you're like, oh, you know, we're going to do this. We're going to win the European Cup. We're going to win this. We're going to do the double. Look, at the end of the day, when your team goes out and plays to their ability, you always feel confident you're going to win. So we're doing that. But it's like everything else. You know, League One is like full of big teams, full of teams. But then again, you're playing Stevenage on Tuesday. And Stevenage have had a phenomenal season.
Yeah,
you know, it's one of them things where if you're not on it against Stevenage, they're going to beat us. And, you know, we have to be on it because, you know, it's one of them things. If we play the way we want to play and don't let them unsettle us and don't go under, we win. If they do all the things they do really well, we lose. So that's a great League One battle, you know, and it's like a top 6 battle away from home.
And Steve Evans has had Darren's number, hasn't he?
Yes, he has. He has a couple of times, but not as much as I think when Grant was here. I think he won 3 in a row against Grant. I think when Gillingham were in our league, we battered them at Gillingham, and then Gillingham fluked a 1-0 win at our place. So he hasn't had his number in a way that they've dominated us or whatever, but it's been like a bit like that, you know. But I've always said Steve Evans is a great manager. So, you know, if we don't show up with the right attitude, Steve Evans will have his team prepared to beat us. And,
he said today that you know, Posh changed policy this season by going very young, but they've underplayed their expectations. When you have players they have in the squad, they should be aiming for top 2 finish and a return to the championship. They are that good. So he's putting the pressure on by talking up the Posh team at the moment.
And that's typical Steve. Equally, I would say Steve will say he's got one of the lowest budgets in League One. And if you ask Phil Wallace, he's never paid as much in wages in his whole life since Steve's got in there. So I know the wages he took from the players we had, and he's paying them.
Yeah.
So Stevenage are one of the big hitters wages-wise now. So as much as like we all play the game and whatever, and in name, yes, Stevenage are like, should they be top 6? Maybe in name, no. But in what they're spending and the level of management they've gotten and what Steve and Rains are doing, I would have always expected them to be top 10, if not pushing. But Steve Evans doesn't settle for mediocrity. So I know. He used to text me when he was at Gillingham, you know, oh, geez, you know, we've got to stay in this league. And I'll be like, behave. I know exactly what you're thinking. Like, you know, he'll always be like one eye on promotion because that's who he is. And I respect him for that. And look, it'll be a good game. You know, and I've no idea. You know, it's one of them things. I've no idea. But like I said, you know, every game like this and then the next opposition, it's a learning block for our team. I won't go on about how young we are, but it's a learning block for us as a team, as a squad. And we're in a good place. And, you know, we're going to win a lot of games. That front four is going to win a lot of games.
Are you surprised by how quickly they've gelled?
No. If that front four played since August, we might be even further ahead. So, and that's not me being critical. At the end of the day, you're the double golden boot winner here. You have to be respectful. But am I surprised? No, I've got a top-notch manager in League One. Top-notch manager. Behind them, top coaches. As I've always said to you, best in class. And we're giving them the ingredients. Some very, very talented young players marred in with what we already have in the academy. So I'm not shocked. And like I wasn't surprised when we lost a few games. I wasn't surprised when we made some mistakes. You know, sky's the limit. Whether it's this year, next year, you know, they're a great bunch of players. I think there's a lot of potential. Obviously, your challenge is going to be to try and keep them. You know, some of them are going to play in the Premier League. That's just the way football goes, and great. We're going to be proud of that. But no, you know, it's. I've always said to you, win, lose or draw, can you enjoy what you're watching? Can you stomach what you're watching? And you know, at times they'll drive me mad. Mansfield, somebody the game against Salford. You know, you're like, but you also know that they're capable. And the one thing I like about this team is there's a real never say die attitude. Like to really like the FA Cup game. Both of those games showed me that where we took it deep. We
Yeah,
scored
they could
late.
have folded.
Could have folded. Injury time. We got back in it. Penalties were gone and we're back. With a 17-year-old take a penalty, the penalty shootout, like he was, like it was Robbie Fowler taking a penalty. Such was the confidence. So no, they're a different group. This group, there's some bottling there. I know people go on about late goals, and there were reasons for those. That wasn't bottling it. Bar that one time, I think the manager lost his shit. But and for a young group, you were going to get that occasionally. But no, there's some minerals in there. And I think they all believe in each other, and I think they're all playing for each other. And that's the squad, not just the 11. Because you're not having any success without a squad. You're not having any success just with 11 players. Success is built on the squad, not the team.
Yeah.
And, we've seen that over the years with our teams when we've had promotions. You'd always go back in time during the season and go, yeah, but that sub did this and that sub did this. And that player filled in for our captain when he was suspended or banned, and we won that game. And I could go through all our history right to the playoffs where we beat Huddersfield, where we lost our goalkeeper in the semi-finals, and we had a goalie who hadn't played for X amount of came in and got 2 clean sheets. So, the last promotion, Chrissy Pym got injured. We got the boy from Stoke on loan who saved the penalty away at Charlton. So, squad, there's always stories with that, and I think, we're good.
And I want to give a special shout out to Joe Randall. Joe Randall is somebody who came with a big price tag. He was written off. He had a tough start. He kept going. And you must be pretty proud of how well he's been playing this season. And he's really been able to show everybody what he's capable of, and also the belief that you've had in him really since day one.
Always believe in Joe Randall. I want to give the player and the fans a massive kudos. I can do my bit. The coaches can do their bit. And I did my bit at St. George in the summer with the Run, Joe, Run.
Yeah.
And if you looked at the other day, I think they brought up the pressing stats in our league, and he's got the most pressing runs in League One by a mile, which shows how much he's running. And running gets you so far, and skill gets you the rest. Yeah. But the player and the fans have turned him around. The player has got himself in great physical shape. He's got himself in great mental shape. And we always said when he scored one, he'd go on a run. Me and the manager kept saying this. And we were like, we need Joe to score. We need to create a goal. And if you look at his stats, I think when he scored against Lincoln since then, he's got 4 or 5 goals, 6, 7 assists. He looks like somebody who feels like he belongs, who's enjoying what he's doing. His mate Archie's with him. I think there's so many variables to everything. And it's taken a while to get him going, but he can be as good as he wants to be. It's down to the player. And he'll have bad games, and he'll have great games. I enjoy seeing some of the fans who are changing their opinion. Even like up until 5 games ago, there were a couple of fans who were like, that's the one area. But they're seeing it. They're seeing what everyone else is seeing. And what they're not seeing behind the scenes is he works bloody hard. And he's a great teammate. I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud of what he's come through. And it was tough. That kind of price tag, moving all the way from Exeter, being away from family, illness, COVID, injuries, it was tough. And he's still very young. He's going to play wherever he wants to play. Yeah. He's got so much ability. So I'm just proud of him for that. And long may it continue. I said it, he could be 15 goals, 15 assists. This is his season to show that. I blame myself for making jokes about £20 million players as well in past things, because that's what I'm like with bravado. And I have to sometimes check myself, because you're talking about a 21-year-old. Some 21-year-olds can take that and like that and enjoy that. Yeah. And I'm not saying Joel took it the other way. I never asked him, but I put that out there. So there's just that, pressure. So I have to calm that down. I can be proud of my players and talk about them in a good way, but I have to just go, okay, I don't want to throw it on them.
But now he's shown everybody what he can do, then he set the bar.
Correct.
So, which I think is actually it's great, because now people can support him knowing that he's got the ability, which I think is probably what was being called into question, because he's never really shown it with you.
Right.
Now he's shown it, people know what he can do.
And our fans with that chant always believed in Joe Randall. Who did that. There's like a little cult section of them. I think that gave the player massive confidence, because we could hear that in the stadium in pre-season. We could hear it in the games he scored pre-season goals. And when he finally scored, I think he felt like he deserved that song at last. And there was a stage where he probably felt like an imposter. So our fans have really brought him back from the brink, as well as the player. So let's credit the fans, the player, and let's credit then the manager and the staff for basically finding his, which I've always said was that 10 role instead of left winger, his best role, and teaching him and turning him into what he is at the moment. There's a long way to go, but he's going to have a great career, and he can fulfill his potential and play anywhere he wants, because technically he's just top class.
Yeah, no, and I want to just kind of reiterate that it shows the impact that supporters can have on players, both positive and negative, because, you know, they're humans at the end of the day, and the abuse that they also get on social media when things don't go well.
Massive.
And you expect that it's just going to be water off a duck's back or whatever it is, but that truly impacts confidence as well.
Particularly with players who are like aged 18 to 24. When they're that young, because they're still young people, you know. So I think, I mean, if you have people who are cheering for you, you know, it makes you feel $1 million. If you've got people who are at you all the time and whatever else, it doesn't affect me. It never affected me. People doubting me when I was 19, 20, I couldn't care. But I can see it would affect my son. I can see how it would affect some players. And then some players, I'm like, you've got more about you. You know, and it's not a dig to the people who don't, because my son wouldn't be used to that kind of crap. I was a bit more hardcore when I was 18, 19. Do you know what I mean? Not all these youngsters are now. So I just think our fans have such a big part to play. And I've always, like, I was having a go at a few of them when they were having a go at our goalie in the first leg against Salford, but he's going to make mistakes. There are still people moaning. I think our goalie's leading the Golden Gloves with 8 clean sheets in 18 games. So, you know, 21. You know, and like I said at the time, he can deal with that. Our goalie is like, he would have been like me at like that age. He can give a fuck. He's got a real confidence about himself. The other goalie, maybe not.
And confidence is an amazing thing, and also a horrible thing, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. It can be like you're too over arrogant, and then you could be like, well, you're not confident enough. So if you look at it just right there, we've got 2 great young goalies, and then you've got Will Blackmore who's off with an injury, and they're not all the same. If one of them makes a mistake, it'd be a bit like, you know, will they follow that up? The other one's like, give a fuck. So every player is just different, and I can see it out there. You know, I can see the players who are kind of, and that's why I like Peter 𝗂𝗁. He's a really, really good captain. He's only like 24. You know, he's young, but he feels like the oldest player in that room, and you know, the part he's playing, and you know, so look, it is what it is, you know, but at times they're not going to be perfect, and they're not going to play champagne football, and they're going to have to dig in and get results. And I think, you know, against Stevenage, they're probably going to have to try and dig in. They're going to try and play, but they're definitely going to have to dig in and try and win that game. But listen, it's good. It's really enjoyable.
The last thing on Posh, some more kudos talking about champagne football. So Posh are the highest EFL scorers in the 21st century. Something that was doing the rounds on social media this week. So only Man City, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea have scored more since the turn of the century.
We're in good company.
So, so who are the, let's see, how many have we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Who are the top 5 contributors to your goals this century?
Oh my God, for Peterborough United. As in made goals or scored goals?
Scored goals.
Well, you'd have Aaron McLean up there. You'd have Craig McHale-Smith. You'd have Johnson Clark-Harris. You would have Gale wasn't around long enough. You would have, who else in there? Lee Tomlin, would he be in one of the top countries? No, not in there. You'd have to look at before I came. There's probably like 6 years before I was there that would be in this century. There's probably some players in there.
Yeah, probably. I don't know when he was there, but Andy Clark is not someone I remember.
Yes, a legend, absolutely. I wasn't there when I was there. So, you know, who else?
George Boyd.
Oh, yeah, I did say Boydie in there. Did I not say Boydie? I thought I said Boydie. I would have known Boydie. Yeah, the Trinity. The Trinity would have been high up, you know. And then obviously Johnson Clark-Harris, I think he's never scored 100 goals. So he'd have been quite high up.
He's got so far.
Yeah, so, look, that's not by accident default, obviously. In my 17, 18 years, it's been based on I like goals. Just kind of like, sometimes you ask about owners' preferences and, you know, does a team have an identity of an owner? Well, I've never lied, and no manager would ever tell you any differently. That I've always said to whoever I've hired, we like goals and entertainment here.
It would be interesting to do the reverse on goals conceded, to see if you're up there on goals conceded as well.
Let's not go down that route. We don't need to go there. All right, don't be a smart arse. Don't be a jealous little Bradford fan. All right, don't be playing games. So
I think you teach me envy is okay, but jealousy is not.
Envy's fine, but you sound like a jealous little turd.
Yeah,
so
when I see you scoring 4 and 5.
I know. Listen, you're probably right. I mean, but like I've always said, I love a 4-2 scoreline. You know, give me 4-2 over 1-0. I've always had my philosophy and the reasons for that. And the reasons have been, imagine the value in your attacking players when you're scoring 4 goals as opposed to 1-0 wins.
Yeah.
So that's just always been the way who we are. So yeah, long may that continue, and that is a proud thing. It's amazing, you know. I guess all the papers are right about that, not. So it's not salacious enough.
So let's talk a little bit of some of the other stories going around the last couple of weeks, and we have to touch on Everton's points deduction. 10 points for I mean, from on the surface, it seems extremely harsh, doesn't it? I mean, I think when you look into it and you hear more about it, it seems like they've been given a lot of warnings and never really, maybe didn't take them seriously or whatever it may be. But 10 points seems ridiculous, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think they win half of those back on appeal. I think the killer for Everton fans is I watched them yesterday against United. I thought they were very good. I know the scoreline doesn't reflect it, but they missed some like key chances. I think Dyche has got them purring. I think he's got them in a place where they're doing really well, and I don't want that points to be the reason that they go down.
Right.
And yeah, if they broke the rules, of course, there's punishment. I think 10 is like Man City. You've got to be panicking. I mean, they got to be panicking because if you're giving 10 points out for that, for all the stuff we've heard, and I'm not saying Man City are guilty or anything, but and again, I'm not one of those people that want to see point deductions. I mean, I think every club, does what they can to push the rules as far as they can. And I think when people make mistakes, fines and suspended sentences are fine. And that includes for Man City, by the way, and I'm a Liverpool fan. I think at the end of the day, for me, Man City have won the league on merit every time, and they'll win it again this year. I watched my beloved Reds play them on Saturday. They've been the best team in the last 10 years, without doubt. And you can argue all you want about, well, sponsorship deals, this, that, whatever else. It was inevitable. Man City were inevitable. They've always been inevitable. And every club in the Premier League has spent outrageous sums of money to strive to win things, whether it be Chelsea, whether it be City. I mean, Man United have spent hundreds of millions on, bad signings and whatever else to do the same. So I'm not a proponent of relegating teams, giving points deductions. I don't know how they change that. And I really hope Everton get those points back. And equally, I really hope Man City don't get hit with any kind of points deduction. Yeah. Whatever else. Find people and give the money out to the lessers. Throw it down the EFL. We'll take it.
It's hard even looking at the league tables this season to know who is truly where they should, like what the form table is, because of all these points that have been deducted left, right, and centre.
Yeah, you're right.
And it kind of makes. I know there's got to be some kind of sanctions for breaking the rules, but it makes a bit of a mockery of the league tables when you have all these teams. Being deducted points.
Yeah, I can get some of the point deductions when you haven't paid your staff. Yeah, I can get that. I don't think Everton have ever failed to pay their people. I don't think Man City would ever fail to pay their people, or any other club that might be in trouble. Chelsea with historical issues. I can get when there are owners who disappeared and didn't pay for the staff and didn't do this and didn't do whatever. I can get that. I understand the EFL's logic and what they've done in that way. I think some of them can be multiple. What's that word? When you do crimes loads of times, a serial perpetrator.
Yeah,
if you're a serial perpetrator, repeat offender who's constantly broken the rules, constantly not paid people, constantly done whatever else. I can understand why you're dishing out big points deductions. It's a slippery slope. I guess, to be continued to find out what happens. But I think, I do hope Everton get a lot of the points back. I don't think their current players, their staff, their manager deserve to get relegated from the Premier League on historical financial issues to do with accounts and overspending. And, they're building a magnificent new stadium. They're trying to get it. I think they've got new ownership coming in. And again, you got to look at it and go, does this stop them getting new ownership? If you come out and hit them with a points deduction, does it frighten away the new owners? And then you're stuck with the previous owner that you're already investigating and putting under for the current points thing. So sometimes common sense has to prevail, Philip. And I'm not sure if it has with the 10 points.
Yeah. You talk about Manchester City and should they be found guilty whenever that case is found, which is probably years away at the pace that it seems to be moving. I think back to Swindon, this was early 90s, was it, when they got relegated 2 leagues for financial irregularities? Do you think that relegation is in the realms of possibility for punishment?
For Man City, no chance.
Yeah.
No chance. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world. They'll have the best lawyers, best in class. I mean, that might be the difference between a Swindon and Man City. Man City have got the best in the business. There was no way on earth Man City are going to get points deducted or get relegated, and I don't think they should either. And that's probably a controversial opinion, and a lot of football fans in the Premier League will disagree with me on that. But okay, they've what rules have they broken? I need to, and I don't like talking about things I don't know the full intel on.
Yeah.
But if it's a case, if you're talking about sponsorship deals, you're talking about this, you're talking about that, all these clubs are going to do the same. They're going to see how rules are written. They're going to push those rules and bend them as far as they can. That's the same in all forms of life, by the way. And some people do it better than others. So you can't suddenly then go back in time and go, well, we don't like how you did this because you did it better than us and it made you win loads of league titles and you won the treble and you got the best manager on earth and you're playing the best football and blah, 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 blah. So now we're going to try and reverse it all and we're going to try and punish you and we're going to try and put you out of business. No, I'm sorry, it doesn't work like that. So, and the other thing I'd say as well is when does, at some stage, because I was reading about like Jermain Defoe's transfer from Spurs to Portsmouth or whatever else, like, is there no statute of bloody limitations in the UK in any of this? I mean, how far back do you go?
Yeah, I'm sure you dig deep enough, you're going to find something at any club that you don't
every club could be in the spotlight for making a mistake. Equally, like I see Barnsley got thrown out of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
It's just like...
But 2 years ago, Exeter didn't for playing an FA player against us.
Right. Didn't Liverpool also have the same issue as well in some cup competition a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
So
it seems like harsh and also seems like there's no consistency.
With all due respect, and God is a horseman or whatever else, and it's a great story for them. Replay the game.
Yeah.
Give them another payday. Put it on TV again. Replay the game. Barnsley, and I'm not Barnsley's biggest fans, should not have been thrown out of the FA Cup. Not a chance on earth. Should never have happened. So again, we need to look at some of the severity of some of the rules. I get people want punishment. Somebody's made a clerical error. Did the player that played make that much of a difference to the result of the game? No. Now, if he scored the winner in the 90th minute, I get the argument. But if it's somebody who maybe was in the squad, was on the bench, hardly had any minutes in the game, I mean, can you imagine, like, if you were drawn to play Man United away and you've won through, and one clerical error takes £1 million payday away from you. It's just...
As a low league club as well. I mean, that's...
I don't know. It's like the punishment doesn't fit the crime for me.
So let's look. So I'm just looking down the championship, and Leicester still going strong.
Yep. Bounced back after a couple of bad results. I think they won the neck comfortably.
Ipswich, I think, did they lose at the weekend? But they lost to
West Brom. West Brom beat them,
but still there in second. And Leeds and Southampton. There's a bit of a gap there, but I know Southampton only drew at the weekend. We talked about them a few weeks ago, kind of struggling there. Well, they've turned that around pretty quickly.
Yeah, I forget about Ipswich losing. I mean, was that their first loss this season? I think
second
loss. I mean, come on, the job that club's done. I mean, come from league. So the West Brom manager's pretty clued on. So he's tactically very. I think it was counter-attacking football won that game, but Ipswich will bounce back quickly. They've sometimes it's good to lose the odd game and go on and run again. Sometimes when it's all going too great, sometimes you need a little bit of a sharp reminder. So. I don't think that will affect Ipswich. But what's fascinating now is going to be January onwards when you've got Southampton. You've obviously got Leeds, you've Ipswich, you've Leicester. There's 4 or 5 clubs that's going to make it an absolute blockbuster of a championship. And I see Coventry got a great win, but some of their fans were concerned. Yes. And I said I wouldn't be concerned because of their manager. So it was great to see that. We'll give kudos to Luton winning in the Premier League, which is a big win obviously at the weekend. And again, keeping themselves out of trouble. So that would be another modern day miracle if they ended up staying up. So what else in the leagues? League 2, I saw your favourite club, Wrexham, won 6-0. Stockport lost for the first time since the old died. I think they were like on course for a record amount of wins. I saw
Darragh and 𝗵𝗿𝗂𝗁 keeping on 4-1 away at Colchester.
Unbelievable. I mean, fair play to 𝗵𝗵𝗂𝗁. Unbelievable. He won't be there long, will he? God bless them. But
and Notts County lost 4-2 to Wimbledon. Let's see who else down there. MK Dons again 4-2 winners away at Salford. So there's a lot of goals this week. Swindon with Jake Young on loan from City, scoring 2 more. I think that's something like 15 so far this season.
Do you have a call back on him in January?
Yeah,
I presume the new manager is going to call him back.
Yes. I don't think anyone has asked Jake Young if he wants to be called back or not, because this same thing happened with Owen Doyle at Swindon as well. We loaned Owen Doyle to Swindon. He suddenly became the world's greatest goal scorer in history. We called him back and he looked like he was, we'd signed him from National League South. And then, of course, they forced through a permanent to them and started scoring again. It's an interesting one because that's something that gets thrown at the club as well, is why did you loan out somebody like Jake Young, who's doing so well, but at the time, you know, he'd played under Mark Hughes. He'd gone on loan to Barrow with Pete Wild, and both of them had basically said it wasn't working. He wasn't fitting the system. He wasn't tracking back, and you know, that there wasn't a place for him in the team. And he's obviously gone somewhere with Michael Flynn where it's happened for him. And
so, sometimes the face doesn't fit. Sometimes the player just doesn't adjust to the club. Sometimes they go out, they do better. You know, it's I think it happened to us at Nicky Ajosi years ago, who went out and scored 15, 20 goals on loan. I can't remember where. It might have been Swindon, actually, funny enough. Jeez, this must be a really weird thing.
I know, it must be something with Swindon and the strikers, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Swindon, but we got him back and he did okay for us the following season, and we actually sold him to get our money back. So, yeah, I think it's that's an odd one. But the other thing you could do as well is call him back and sell him. He hasn't played for Bradford this year, has he?
No, he's got 18 months still on his contract.
Right, so
and he's young.
I would cash in on him and sell him. If you don't think he's going to come off, take him back and sell him. Somebody in League One will probably buy him. Yeah. You know, I'm not sure Championship, but somebody will definitely buy him. So, I would definitely look at doing. So again, I don't want to get Swindon in trouble because I like Swindon. So, but you know, they will know this is happening if there's a callback. Like we potentially could lose 𝗛𝗿𝗱 𝗧𝗿𝘂𝘁𝗵 to Rotherham because they've got a new manager, and you know, in January. So we're preparing for potentially that. And we don't want to, but you have no choice.
You got to be prepared, right?
Yeah, you got to be prepared, you know, so, yeah.
So a couple of other shout-outs back into League One. Blackpool, 4-0 away at Portsmouth.
What a win.
What a fantastic win that was for them.
Total Tangerine fans, we you know, they're going to be up there. You know, good team, great manager. Always said it, you know, so not shocked. A few of their fans tweeted me and it was like, I'm not surprised. You know, like I know we went and we beat them comfortably at their place or whatever, but I'm not surprised. They're a good team, and good teams can beat each other in the best of days. So I'm not shocked by that at all. What about Bolton hitting 7?
Yeah, well, I think Henry's put this into the show notes about 5 times just to make sure that we give Bolton a shout out.
Of course, yes.
7-0 at home to Exeter, which takes them to the top of the table as well.
I think they were favourites to win the league, weren't they, this year, Bolton? I think they were.
I mean, they certainly were favourites to go again after last year, weren't they?
Yeah, not surprised by that. You know, massive club on the up, great manager, good League One players, good recruitment. Some of the scorelines, Barnsley hit 7 earlier this year. I'm waiting for us to join some of that action. So, you know, we probably could have done it on Saturday, but we kind of backed off the last 20 minutes. But that's great. It's great for League One. I think League One is very open. It's you know, Derby had a good win again. Shrewsbury are doing really well. Lincoln are doing okay. You know, it's I think it's probably 12, 13 clubs. You know, and the top half of League One are all doing well. Stephen is, as I've already said to you. So none of it surprises me. I think the only surprise was Cheltenham had the result of the season, didn't they, on Saturday?
How did
they beat Oxford? They beat Oxford.
Oh yes, that's right. After they're such a hard start to the season where they didn't score in the first 9 or something.
They couldn't hit the door. So obviously that kind of is and I guess that's an indictment on the previous manager that you bring in a change of manager and they're, you know, kind of a different team and they're beating Oxford. I know Oxford have got a new manager, but that was kind of a standout shocking result. And they had red cards as well. So,
yeah, they were down to 10 men at half time, and then Oxford were down to 10 after 70 minutes. But, you know, they still had 25 minutes where Oxford had a man advantage.
Fair play. So, yeah, interesting.
I saw that Carlisle got taken over by an American group as
Jacksonville, people from Florida.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you look into it, I think they're from Jacksonville.
Yeah, some logistics company.
Yeah. It always tickles me because obviously I think Gillingham were taken over by Floridians as well, and now obviously you got Carlisle as well. Great for Carlisle, great for their fans. Hopefully they're good owners, and I'm sure they are. When I see the videos put up, the Gillingham owner did one last Christmas, and it's family, and these people have done the same. That gives me more hope than just people in suits, you know, taking over. So you know, when you see a family that are involved and want to get involved, I think the Gillingham owner has been very good for Gillingham. You hope the Carlisle owners are going to be the same. And it looks like them with their family. They will be. So fair play.
Must be something your mate Ron DeSantis is doing for business climate in Florida to have all these Floridians being able to afford in football league clubs.
Well, listen, I mean, you know, you're buying a new home, you know, you're happy living here, you know, so I guess we'll find out in the debate between him and your hero, Gavin Newsom, in a few days.
I don't know why he feels the need to do that.
Because I think we all know that, you know, Newsom's probably going to be running for president. So I think that's why he also feels the need. And I think because that, you know, doofus Trump is going to win the primary, this might give him a chance and a nudge in those things if he goes out there and he, you know. But the one thing I'll say is Newsom's very slick. He's very slick. I wouldn't be debating him because he's very, very slick. He's very good. He's a shite governor, but he's very slick.
I think I don't think DeSantis can win that because for that same reason. I think he's putting himself in a situation which is a dangerous situation.
He has to be on point. He's got all the stats on his side, but he has to deliver them in the right way. But Newsom, watching Newsom, he's very good at spinning those stats. You know, but the reality is people like you from California are happily living in Florida. So, and I think the reason so many people now are buying football clubs, I said this like about a year and a half ago during COVID, all the things that happened during COVID with people coming here and flocking here, Florida is going to become the best in class. I keep saying this. You know, it's going to become very expensive to live here. A lot of people with money are going to come here. You're going to have the best police force. You're going to have the best streets, the best infrastructure. Things will take shape as long as we weed out all the Democrat governors. Or sorry, mayors, like the mayor I've got in Orange County. We can get rid of them and turn them red. Florida's on the up, baby.
No, he's a beacon of light around there.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's a dopey git. So anyways, enough politics for the football fans. Sorry, that's me and Phil with our red and blue hats on.
So international, Ireland sacks Stephen Kenny.
Good.
Good. Yeah, which direction do they go in now? Former player?
I don't know, and I don't know if they have the money. I think Stephen, what 6 wins in 29 or something competitive games, he had to go. The fact he wasn't picking the league and goal scorer in the championship to play for Ireland tells me everything I need to know. All I'll ask for the new manager coming in, stop picking anyone over the age of 31. The next tournament we can qualify for is the World Cup in 2026, which is in 3 years' time, correct? In America.
Yeah.
So do not pick players over 30. They're going to be of no use to us in 2026. Go out and get the best. Because somebody said the other day about someone I know on Twitter, Ireland doesn't have to play. I'm like, are you joking me? We've got like the Brighton boy Ferguson up front. We've got midfielders. If you look at, we have 5-6 players who could be world fucking class. Like we have a chance with the right manager. Ireland could be. You think Wales? You look at Scotland and what Scotland.
Do you look at with all due respect to Scotland and Wales? You look at them. Ireland should be doing that.
Absolutely. It infuriates me that we've wasted, the chance to get to the Euros. And I know it was a horrible group and whatever else, but to get in better groups, you have to start winning. You have to start climbing the rankings, and you have to start performing like the Ireland back in the day under McCarthy or Jack Charlton. So we now have a nucleus of players and some serious talent in there. So fucking play them. Jack Taylor, 𝗛𝗿𝗄𝗏, not because I get paid if they get capped by Ireland, but because they're fucking good enough to get in over some 32-year-old fucking veteran who won't be around for the next World Cup. So put them in. There is a chance. Who did they hire? I don't know. I really don't know. There's not. I don't know if the FAI have the money to pay a manager maybe the salary they'd need to get like the proper class of manager. I don't know. I really haven't got the answer for that. If you ask me to name 2 or 3 candidates, I don't want the tried and tested. I don't want Roy Keane. Waste of time. So
Neil Lennon. It looks like he's in the hunt for a job at the moment.
No, not for me. No. You need to, the way modern football is going now, and you've got a young group of players. Look at what we've done at Peterborough. You need the right manager for that, to fit that. If Brendan Rodgers wasn't in the job, I'd have broken the bank to get him. Yeah. Because what he could do with younger players and the style of play and whatever else. But no, I'm a no to the ones you've just named. So I need better options.
Are international salaries comparable to a salary that a Premier League manager could get? Or
well, no. I don't think Ireland are paying Premier League salaries. I would say an Irish manager's salary should be on a par with a top Championship manager. I would imagine $500,000 a year. Again, I don't know. I could be talking through my arsehole. It'd be good for some fans to send us in information regards that. But there's no doubt in my mind that the FAI have to invest. They have to put resources into it, because I don't believe they're selling out games. I believe the stadium's half empty. That's going to cost them commercially. We're not going to any big tournaments, again, commercially, financial. So you're going to have to either borrow money, do whatever, get some donations, but we need best in class in that job, because we have now the next batch of players coming through. We actually could be in good shape, and we have to qualify for the 2026 World Cup. We have to be there in America. Particularly for me, I can't just be following my wife around in her England shirt. She's dancing in the background there. Or you in your England shirt.
I'll be there as well.
Yeah, you'll be there as well. I need a fucking Irish shirt. You know what I mean? I'll have more money in years out there in the fucking streets, So,
let's close. I got one question that I want to ask before we close today, and this is from Mark, who emailed us. Mark said, "I'm after some advice, please. My son is 17 years old. He was at Swindon's academy from 8 to 16 years old, and then he was released. He chose to go into men's football rather than stay in the 18s, and he played 35 games for a Step 6 side last season. He's now playing for 𝗛𝗿𝗃, a Step 3 Southern Premier League team. It says it's tough, strong league, but has good budgets. He's now broken into the side, and he'll finish playing probably 25 plus games on top of last season, and he's only 18 years old. What advice would you give him in this situation in his career coming from an owner?"
Keep at it. Keep doing what you're doing. I like it. You know, he's released, you know, probably felt like a failure. He's dropped down the leagues, you know, hasn't gone off and got a normal job and left football. Still wants to be a player. Love the attitude, love the spirit, and broken into the first team. Be the best player you can be. Don't care what step you're at. If you're good enough, you'll rise through the leagues. You can go from Step 6 to Step 5 to Step 4 and then break into the Football League. You know, we've signed enough of these players to know that, you know, a lad we signed recently was, you know, stacking shelves. Another lad was finishing his degree, a law degree, you know, and they were playing non-league and working at the same time. So don't ever give up. You know, Jamie Vardy's the ultimate story for not giving up. He was at 26, 27. He still got plucked out of non-league. But when you're 18 and you're playing in a team, you know, keep your chin up, be professional, do things the right way. Watch what your social media does. Don't argue with fans. Don't become problematic. Don't have a reputation. You know, give it your all. Don't feel a hard done by, you know, when you're dropped. Don't be moaners. Don't be those parents either who go along and make life difficult either. So, you know, just keep, I'm going to say trust the process because my own kids swore me before we saying that. But, you know, keep following your passion. And if you're good enough, you'll play in the Football League again. If you're not good enough, you'll have a career in non-league. And after seeing what Wrexham, Chesterfield and Notts County were doing in non-league, you could probably earn a good bloody living in the,
more money
top of the conference.
There's more money in the National League than there is in League Two.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that is the truth. So, you know, fair play and send your son my best. And, you know, 𝗛𝗿𝗃, is that where he's playing?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you know, we'll keep an eye out for the results and we wish him well.
Yeah. And for a Step 3, what's the typical kind of next step for a Step 3 player? Is it like who's scouting at Step 3?
Everyone. The scouts all over the place. My scout will hit 3, 4, 5, 6. You know, we had a young player playing for Spalding. I can't remember what step they're in. I think they're in like way down, a good few levels below the conference. Young Tyler, he's got like 3 goals in 2 games, and we sent them there to get games, to become a man. You know, there'll be people, you know, our scouts will go to watch him at that level. So they might suddenly see a player playing through the Spalding or the other team and suddenly send a note to me. So, you know, there will be scouts from all over the place in England looking. You know, the fact non-league is like now, you know, becoming more, you know, fashionable than ever before to sign talent from, even though we've been doing it for like 16 years. You know, don't lose hope.
Yeah, it looks like Spalding in the Northern Premier League, which is Step 7 and Step 8.
There you go. So even my guys are at those games because they're watching young Tyler. And often you get Man City will come and watch young 𝗛𝗿𝗃 who plays for us. And you're always with the hope. He goes, oh my God, 𝗛𝗏𝗏 𝗃𝗃. He could be the next winger for Pep Guardiola. And they write me a check for 15 million. But listen, that's the dream.
Yeah, but that's interesting. I was going to say that earlier. You look at your front four and where they've come from. You know, Ricky's come through the system. You got Efron, who came from the National League only last year. You got 𝗛𝗏𝗏 who came from League Two.
The
Joe, was Joe League Two when you signed him, or was he League One?
He was League Two. I think we spent 1.4 million buying those 4 players.
But then no other club would probably spend 1.4 million on players from a lower level. And build a team around them, which says everything about, you know, your philosophy, really.
Absolutely. You got to put it out there. So you got to have a go. There's a lot of talent in the lower leagues. And if you do it the right way, look, don't get me wrong, they don't all come off and you don't always get it right. But if you can get it right most of the time, you know, you're going to do okay. So, but all those players have a chance of playing in the Premier League. You know, God willing for them and they stay healthy and whatever else, they will play at the top, all 4 of them, no doubt, and more. So, you know, so we wish his son all the best. And everyone out there, thanks for the votes again. Send in any questions you have to 𝗏𝗏𝗃football.com.
Contact at 𝗏𝗏𝗃football.com or across, just DM us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere. We monitor all the different accounts.
We bid you farewell.
All right. Well, we will speak to you all again. We're going to do one next week as well. And so we will catch you all next week.
Thanks guys. Appreciate it.